That's good. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the Lindop School District 92 Board of Education meeting to order at 5:30 PM. May I have a roll call, please? Mr. Keith Richardson Jr.
President Carla Jonah Harret,
Present.
Vice President Cheryl Griffin,
Present.
Board Secretary Aaron Hanna,
Present.
Board Member Brian Dawson,
Present.
Board Member Woody Morris,
Present.
Board Member Tanya Taylor,
Present.
Board Member Penny Williams Woodford. And then we have Student Board Member Jarrell Davis.
Present.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, please turn your cell phones off or on silence. I need to do the same myself. And let's pause for a moment of silence. I think we all know we need to pause for peace. That's all I'll say. We all know what's going on right now. Just pausing for peace. Thank you, everyone. Moving right along to Spotlight on Success.
Good
Student Board Member Jarrell Davis.
Good evening, everyone. So today I have the privilege and honor to introduce the amazing superintendent student ambassadors who will be our spotlight on success today. We helped with our spelling bee here at Lindop School the first time that we've hosted it. And it was such an honor and a privilege, and it was just an amazing opportunity for all of us. And it is something that we can get students in just to get some information about leadership and how to create more success for the Lindop community.
Good evening. My name is Jarrell Davis.
And my name is Cynthia Paulson.
And we are both so honored to be superintendent student ambassadors.
The mission of the Superintendent Student Ambassadors is to become informed ambassadors that will lead by example for our peers, our school, and our community by evidencing etiquette and high academic standards. Our steps are guided by our understanding of the significance of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
The vision of the superintendent student ambassadors is to lead by example through school service, community engagement, and spirit innovation. We are committed to creating a path for others to emulate. Our proven success and accomplishments will guide our future steps towards equality and equity for all.
Our time as student ambassadors has been an amazing experience. We are honored to be a part of this story.
It has been one for the lifetime, and for us to come together and bring new innovative ideas to emulate not only in our school, but in our greater community. It has been truly an honor to serve.
In the Superintendent Student Ambassadors, we are ready to do Games Mother Never Taught You, Corporate Gameship for Women, and
The inspirational leader. Inspire your team to believe in the impossible.
this book, the chapter that I'm reading is chapter 5. It is about how women in the corporate gameship throw off the men because they're not comfortable with the women coming into new leadership and putting on, or being professional in the professional world. So it talks about how women have to watch their back and find weaknesses in men because they'll try to throw you off your game because they're not used to you being there. So don't let them play dirty, but also watch your back. You have to do things the right way and work harder than men because they're not used to us being there. And that women are there in the worship center.
The inspirational leader talks about how, as a people and those in leadership positions, can inspire a team to believe in the impossible. An excerpt from the book that, page 13, that really reached me was establishing a compelling direction, a vision for the future and the strategy for how to get there. Aligning people, communicating the direction, building shared understanding, getting people to believe in the vision, and persuading and influencing people to follow that vision. But the last statement, the last bullet point, motivating and inspiring people to enact the kind of change that you have articulated. That's the job of a superintendent, student ambassador, and just as leaders. Our job as superintendent, student ambassadors is not only to emulate a path of success, but it's to be there to inspire, to provide hope, not only for ourselves, but for this entire school, including our students, myself, our Board of Education, and our superintendent. Thank you all.
Very good. Board Member Jarrell, you seemed awful nervous.
I was standing next to greatness. I mean, that is,
You did wonderfully. You really did. You're
it
natural.
wasn't just me. So
You were
I
a
feel
natural
very-
speaker as well as the other young lady. It was excellent. Thank you very much. Any comments from any board members? Okay, I love that sweater too. I really do. Tell you this, excellence is a standard.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you again. Any public comments, Dr. Jackson?
There are none.
Okay. And for your requests? There are none as well.
Yes, there was a FOIA request.
Okay.
And the FOIA request was asking about different information and public employee. I'm sorry, let me do it on my computer. Okay, so they were asking about different information and obligations and making sure that we were in compliance with everything. And Mr. Baranik has satisfied that FOIA request. They did ask for it by electronic copy. It has been satisfied.
Thank you. Upcoming events and correspondent, our board secretary.
Right. I have no upcoming events in front of me. Correspondence, I don't have.
Read the upcoming
Oh,
events
Yeah.
silently, please. Thank you. Moving right along to consent agenda. I need a motion that the board approves the consent agenda, please.
Cheryl Griffin, I make a motion that the board approve the consent agenda, including Lindop payroll for February 16th, 2022 through March 15th, 2022, in the amount of $450,132.84. Lindop District 92, accounts payable for February 15th, 2022 through March 15th, 2022, in the amount of $236,809.06, and the activity account reconciliation for March 2022.
And a second, please.
A second.
Any revisions, any questions, any concerns? Okay, there are none. Roll call, please, Mr. Richardson.
President Carla Hara,
Yay.
Vice President Cheryl Griffin,
Yay.
Secretary Aaron Hanna,
Yay.
Board Member Brian Dawson,
Yay.
Board Member Woody Morris, Board Member Tanya Taylor,
Yay.
Board Member Penny Williams Wolford,
Absent.
Student Board Member Darrell David.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, old business. Mr. Baranik, presentation on FY 21 audit.
Good evening, Board of Education, administrators, staff, and community members. Tonight, we have Chris Scarlett from Evans, Marshall, and Peace to give a presentation on our FY 21 audit.
Good evening, Board of Education. I'm going to kind of give a summary of the audit and then go into a little bit of detail about the single audit that the district had to receive this year. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about inflation and how some of my clients have been dealing with obviously the rise in prices. So, the main purpose of a financial statement audit is to provide reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free of material misstatements and that they present fairly the financial position of the school district in all material respects. The June 30, 2021 audit was completed and submitted in a timely and efficient manner. I did not run into any audit reporting or internal control issues, and the district received an unmodified or a clean audit opinion, which is the objective of the audit. This fiscal year, the district received a financial profile score from ISB of 3.65. The highest attainable score is 4. So we did receive the highest category of financial strength, which is recognition, which this score does really reflect the district's strong commitment to continuous improvement, financial health, and consistency. In terms of the single audit, the district typically doesn't have to participate in this additional audit, but this year we did meet the threshold, which would be expenditures in excess of $750,000. Therefore, makes an additional audit occur. And the main reason we went over the threshold in 2021 was due to the increase in the ESSER money. So I believe from my calculation, we should have one in 2022, but I don't see it past fiscal year 2022, depending on what the state does. And then with the federal grants, considering the inconsistency with the pandemic and not knowing, if it's going to come to an end or come back, a single audit, could still be something I'd have to do in the future. Just a brief summary of what a single audit is. So it's a little different than in a financial statement audit. This is to provide assurance to the U.S. federal government as to the management and use of such funds. So this is something that's directly submitted to the U.S. federal government. My job is to include a report on the internal controls over its financial reporting and on its compliance with the various provisions of laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements. So basically, I go through your Fed documents. It reaches a threshold, and then depending on a percentage of your expenditures, then there's some programs that I have to test to make sure that we're applying to those laws set forth by the U.S. federal government for those federal grants. So like I said earlier, the major factor here was the ESSER monies, which were basically distributed due from the pandemic. I also want to thank the entire board, Superintendent Jackson, Scott, and the entire business office for their consistent hard work and continuous improvement within the business office. I've been coming here for quite a while, but every year I do see progress and change, and it's always good to come to a district that's always willing to improve on processes, even if those processes are good. Typically we could always make things better. So that's really nice to see. And my firm does about 30 school districts in the state of Illinois. So I typically don't say that to every district, but it's a pleasure for me to say that here. So a little bit about inflation, and then that should be my brief summary here. I've been getting a lot of questions about, how to deal with the inflation and with rising costs. So, we've been doing some research, and then through some surveys, and then some clients of mine that are in HR, it's kind of self-explanatory, but, with rising costs, we really could only compensate through bonuses or salary increases, right? But not saying that we need to obviously get near that inflation level, because the hope is that it will go down. So I typically have been seeing, between 3% and 4% increases across the board. And typically, a lot of other districts are starting to do more of a bonus structure, just so it's not built into their base pay, just to, fight that inflation increase. So that's my brief summary of the audit and the single audit, and then some inflation talk. So at this time, if the board has any questions, I'll do my best to try and answer them.
Anybody have any questions for? No?
I'd like to
Questions?
say thank you. Everything was pretty straightforward, and we do appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Cool. All right,
Just-
well,
One thing I wanted to say is historically, although we've always had good audits, internal controls were always a somewhat of a challenge. That was the only thing we used to get. And
Sure.
we've been strong with that lately for
Sure.
the last like 3-4 years. So it's just wonderful to know. All I say is thank you, Mr. Baranik, very much, because that's us being accountable to ourselves.
sure. I completely agree. Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Mr. Baranik, P-TEL.
Good evening once again, board, administrator, staff, and community members. I do want to give an update that the board requested at the last board meeting to bring back some more information in regards to this additional revenue that would be part of our FY 2021 tax levy. This source of revenue is from property tax appeals, certificate of errors, and board of review appeals. I did pool all of the proviso schools out there to determine what are other districts doing with this additional revenue source. So if you look at this one here, every district within proviso is keeping the money. The reason that they're keeping the money is because this is extra money that will get them closer to 100% of their estimated levy revenue. We have to remember that we do have about a 3% loss in collection. We do have these other appeals that are out there. With keeping this $155,000, it gets us much closer to what our expected revenue would be on an annual basis. This is also going to be the same process that will be done annually moving forward. My recommendation for this FY 21 school year is to keep the money and do not abate it back with it. We are at $155,000 extra, which would help us out significantly with operating expenditures.
Are there any questions that anybody has? Any impact with our new referendum? Any thoughts about that, or have you consulted anybody? Is that something, I don't know if anybody has any thoughts about, we got a referendum and we're trying to get even more money. Any thoughts?
My thought process on this one is remember, we are abating back some money from the property tax relief grant. So we did get that grant twice from the state, which is shifting dollars from our local tax base to the state money. So we've already done 2 of those, which I think from a district standpoint, we have done what we can to assist with, switching that tax burden. So I think as far as fairness from the district's aspect, by utilizing the 2 property tax relief grants and shifting some of that, I think we are doing what the district needs to do to help out taxpayers.
Dr. Jackson?
I was looking at that as well, as far as the property tax relief grant, and I think maybe about over 300,000.
We're roughly I want to say it was 390 that will be abating back to the community on that this year. That was submitted in March. No, in February, I'm sorry. At the last board meeting, it was taken down to the clerk. with that. It's pending right now, getting the signed seal from the county, sending it back. Once we get that, it will go to ISB. And then, like you said, that shift would go from the local and switch to the state, with that money being in our evidence-based funding formula that continues to come in year after year.
And then also, the community also received some of that money from the ARP, the American Rescue Plan. And they are also keeping that money.
Thank you. Any questions, any additional questions, board members? Okay. Move right along. Update on data. Thank you, Mr. Baranik. Update on data and discipline. Our administrators.
Good evening, board members, student board member David, administration and community members, as well as teachers. So we're going to be talking about the winter map data. So if you look at the data for reading, level 1, we had 80 students in the red. We now have 53. For level 2, we had 52 students. We now have 58. For level 3, we had 63 students. We now have 68. For level 4, we have 42 students. We now have 43. And for level 5, this is our goal, to get all of our students at level 5. We have 3 students for reading that have reached that level 5 mark. So that's great. So looking at math, so the reduction of level 1, we had 91 students in level 1. We now have 75 students in level 1. That means they're moving, they're gaining. So look at level 2, we have 79 students, now moved to 76. Level 3, we had 53 students, now moving to 56 students. Level 4, we had 14 and now 17. And we're still trying to get students in level 5 in terms of math. So what I've done so far is I've gone to each of the teachers and I talked to them about what inspires you to be a teacher. Why are you here? So I talked to each grade level group. I also looked at the daily 5 for reading and the daily 3 for math to find out exactly what are they doing in their block, because we know that small group instruction is what is needed. So we've revamped their schedules. We looked at their schedules minute by minute to find out when they're doing guided reading as well as guided math. I've also given them a survey to find out what it is that they need in terms of training, professional development, so that they're able to be successful in these small groups. So we are moving in the right direction, and I'm very, very pleased and honored to be your interim principal.
Thank you, Ms. Opari-Saforo. Good evening, Board of Education, community administration, and staff. I just wanted to highlight what a wonderful support it has been to have Ms. O on staff with us on our admin team, and to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to do a deep dive into our data after every map season. Ms. O has been able to take our data down to the implementation level of where the rubber meets the road with the teachers in the classroom to support student learning. So we just wanted to say thank you for that. I'm going to introduce Mr. Whitehead and Ms. Kiefer.
Good evening, Board of Education, student member David, community members, teachers and staff. I'm Mr. Whitehead. I'm here with our new special education coordinator, Ms. Nicole Kiefer.
Good evening. Good evening, board, administration, staff, and community. As Mr. Whitehead said, I am Ms. Nicole Kiefer. I am the new coordinator for special education. And I am, I first want to start by saying thank you for this amazing opportunity here. I already feel like I'm at home. I feel like I'm a very knowledgeable and resourceful person, and I'm at a place that I can use my knowledge and my leadership skills to enhance what we already have here at Lindop. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. I hope you guys don't feel it as much as I do, because this is my first board meeting. But I do want to just put my beliefs out there, and I do believe that every student can learn, including our diverse learners. I do believe that our diverse learners need access to grade level curriculum, and I believe that they can achieve. It's our job here at Lindop in any school district to bridge the gap of what the students know and where they need to be. And so some of the things that I've done here so far, in just a little bit of time that I've been here, to help enhance what we have already, is to create some different teams so that we can really focus on the big needs that we have here. So I've been able to talk with staff and other teams to see like maybe where there are some concerns or some holes that we can really fill. And so I've been able to create some focus groups on that. I've developed some training to enhance some student learning. I've consulted with vendors outside of Lindop to enhance our database system that we're currently using. And sorry, let me catch my breath. And being able to streamline some communication within the building in regards to special education, just to ensure that all staff they're getting the same information. And then the other thing that we haven't done yet, but with the help of Mr. Whitehead, I'll be visiting tomorrow, as soon as tomorrow, with some schools. So with our co-ops and outplaced students, just so we can see how they're doing beyond just the IEP meetings that we're scheduled to do, just so they know, like, we're looking forward to bringing them back at some point, and know that we didn't just put them somewhere that they won't return. But overall, I just want to say thank you again for this opportunity, and that's all I have. You have any questions for me? Thank you.
No questions, but I'd like to say welcome.
Thank you.
You know, Ms. Kiefer is very humble, but I just want to say in a few weeks that I've worked with her, she's very knowledgeable in the area of data. She knows special education law and policy. The district's, very, very, very fortunate to have her on board, and I'm excited to work with her through the remainder of the school year as well. So in terms of what else we have going on, it truly is all hands on deck, and we're making sure we can get what the students need. So this is some of the things I've been doing as well. Lately, I've been supervising breakfast supervision. I had a chance to talk to Mr. Han a little bit about that and how that's going. I'm also doing one-on-one fine motor breaks for a 7th grade student that we have who needs that during the day. I'm supporting 6th grade ELA, special education students in general education classrooms, and also facilitating the 7th grade intervention period at the end of the day as well. So just want to let you all know what we're doing in special services and the good work that's going on as well. Thank you. Next, I have Mr. Ballantyne talking about Green Ribbon.
Good evening, Board of Education, community, and staff. As we push forward for Green Ribbon status, I just want to update you on the next program that we started, which is the recycling program. It is a student-led program. It's actually led by our student ambassadors. We started this program last week, and they collected for 2 days, and we ended up with a total of 60 pounds of recyclables collected. So our goal is to just keep surpassing what we did the previous week. So I'm looking for more recycle this week. Our student ambassador is doing a great job by informing the students of how to recycle and what to recycle. So I believe this is an excellent program that we are working with right now. Any questions? Thank you. Next, I'll introduce Mr. Kenobi on the discipline update.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, board, teachers, staff, guests. It's an absolute privilege every time I come up here and I see all you smiling, and that's a good thing, right? When we talk about discipline, we're still trending in the positive direction, and I wanted to show you the data to prove it, because these are the things that we celebrate as a staff, the victories. And it's not just a one man fits all philosophy here. It takes all of us here, including yourselves. And there's 2 special columns I want you to pay attention to at the end. Is the columns on with October to now. You see the 29% percentage drop from the October, which is substantial. And even though you see single digit gains sometimes month to month, you have to understand those could be isolated incidents with children. You could try to predict behaviors, but sometimes things happen, and we get ahead of it here at Lindop. And also you can see from January to February, we're still down 12 referrals. So we're on the right trend. the three major behaviors that we see, and I wouldn't say major, but my heavy hitter behaviors that we like to take a look at data. And part of this, deep dive is we have monthly positive behavior intervention support committee meetings. Psychologist is there, the social workers there. We're diving into this data. We actually invited a couple students to the last committee meeting to hear their voice of what we need to change in terms of the universal systems that we have in place and the behavior. So we're really trying to hear the students' voice in terms of this. But I'm very proud of this staff. I really am. I love what I do. I love who I work for. Dr. Jackson, I want to say thank you for the support as of late, because this role is not easy. Ms. Sapari Saforo, my old work wife from 3rd grade, I have her by my side. And I just want to leave you with something from Oprah Winfrey. God bless her. The key to realizing a dream is to focus not on success, but significance. And then even the small steps and little victories, and these are little victories, along the path will take on greater meaning. And I just want you to know that the significance of what each of you and all of us bring to the table brings it to great meaning to the people around us, including our children. So thank you for your support. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
I do want to say for everyone who presented today, thank you for your meaty presentation. I say meaty because you gave us what we needed today. And I'll tell you, for some reason, it just feels so exciting. Ms. Kiefer, you may have been nervous, but your confidence is evident. Bringing something new to and telling us what your dreams are and your aspirations are is so positive to hear. Oh, Ms. O, how about, you're just so exciting. Thank you, Dr. Best. Thank you, Mr. Kenobi. But just want to thank you so much. I can feel the energy and it feels good. So thank you. Moving on to new business. Got a lot of the motions for the in new business. We'll just go around and just do it as a team and knock it out. Thank you so much. New business, we'll start with, we'll hit Mr. Dawson, need a motion to approve the open session. Thank you.
Board Member Brian Dawson, I make a motion that the board approve the regular open session meeting minutes for February 15th, 2022.
Second.
Any revisions, questions? There are none. Roll call, please.
President Carla Jonah Harret,
Yay.
Vice President Cheryl Griffin,
Yay.
Secretary Aaron Hanna,
Yay.
Board Member Brian Dawson,
Yay.
Board Member Woody Morris Jr.,
Yay.
Board Member Tanya Taylor,
Yay.
Board Member Penny Williams Wolford,
Absent.
Student Board Member Jarrell David.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
I make a motion that the board approve the regular closed session meeting minutes for February 15th, 2022.
And a second, please.
I second Board Member.
Any revisions, questions? There are none. Roll call, please.
President Carla Jonah Harret,
Yay.
Vice President Cheryl Griffin,
Yay.
Secretary Aaron Hanna,
Yay.
Board Member Brian Dawson,
Yay.
Board Member Woody Morris Jr.,
Yay.
Board Member Tanya Taylor,
I abstain. I was absent.
Board Member Penny Williams Wolford,
Absent.
Student Board Member Jarrell David.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
I make a motion that the board approve and adopt the review dates of the review and monitor cycle session 1, school district organization for policies 110, 120, 130 as presented. Review and monitor cycle section 3, general administration for policies 310, 330, 340, 350, and 360 as presented.
And a second, please.
I second Board Member.
Brian, any comments about these at all?
No.
Okay. Anybody else? There are none. Roll call, please. Mr. Richardson?
Board Member Carla Jonah Harret,
Yes.
Board Member Cheryl Griffin,
Yay.
Board Member Aaron Hanna,
Yay.
Board Member Brian Dawson,
Yay.
Board Member Woody Morris Jr.,
Yay.
Board Member Tanya Taylor,
Yay.
Board Member Penny Williams Woodford,
Absent.
Student Board Member Darrell David.
Yeah.
Motion carries. Okay, need a- Okay, right here.
I make a motion that the board approve that the chief school business official, Mr. Baranik, begin working with all stakeholders for the 2022-2023 budget.
And a second, please.
Cheryl Griffin, I second.
Any questions, comments? There are none. Roll call, please.
Board Member Carla Jonah Harret,
Yay.
Board Member Cheryl Griffin,
Yay.
Board Member Aaron Hanna,
Yay.
Board Member Brian Dawson,
Yay.
Board Member Woody Morris Jr.,
Yay.
Board Member Tanya Taylor,
Yay.
Board Member Penny Williams Woodford,
Absent.
Student Board Member Darrell David.
Yeah.
Motion carried. Okay. Need recommendation to approve the COVID-19 mitigations, please.
I make a motion that the board approve the COVID-19 mitigations for a masking mandate as presented, presented.
I second the motion. Okay, Dr. Jackson.
Yes, and so you all have heard about the Sangamon County ruling and with the optional mask wearing. And actually it came about because people wanted to have a choice that if they wanted to wear their mask, they could, but also if they did not want to wear their masks. And so the judge did rule in their favor. Well, it was overturned for a while and Governor Pritzker did the temporary restraining order on that. But the final word with that, and I did send you guys this, and it's also in board book, is that as a school district, you are allowed to have mandated optional masking, or you can have mandated masking, period. And so what we did is, so we would not make a decision just completely on our own and just what our feelings were, is that we did have a survey that went out. It went out to the teaching staff as well as the community. And I'd like to just share some of those results with you. Okay, after we go, I'm sorry. Okay, so the first thing that we did, we had, the survey went to families, 282 families, 130 families responded, which is about 46%. And it was only taken once to prevent people for ballot stuffing. The next thing that we found out, our first question was, moving forward, my preference on masking is. And so as we see, about 77, close to 78% of them said that they would want to have masks required for everyone. There were also some comments that they made. All of the comments are included in board book, but some of them that they made is that they're still needed. COVID is not over. There may not be enough vaccinated children, making masks essential, even more so now than ever. I believe that it's better to be safe than sorry, et cetera, et cetera. You guys can read the rest of those. But the next question was, if given the option to go mask optional, would you still prefer that your child wear a mask while in school as outlined by the Cook County Department of Public Health? 83% of our families said yes. They would prefer that their child or the teacher or adult in the classroom continue to wear masks. So they said anyone in the room can be sick. I've already talked with my children and they will be wearing a mask even though they are fully vaccinated and boosted. Wear masks at all times. I would feel better. My child may oppose, but I'm all for masks, et cetera. And so there were a lot of statements like that with the families just seeking to have their children safe as long as they can. And by having the masks, they were definitely in favor of that. Next question was, would you feel uncomfortable if there were unmasked children and adults in your child's classroom? Yes, 69% said they would feel uncomfortable if there were children and adults in the child's classroom. Again, some of those same comments and suggestions. It isn't safe. Even if adults and kids are vaccinated, you can still get COVID. So we'd just rather stay safe and still wear a mask. I'm also speaking from experience of myself being fully vaccinated and still got COVID, so it just makes more sense to continue with us wearing the masks, et cetera, et cetera. We then talked to, the union was nice enough to poll their members, and they asked the same questions. Moving forward, my preference on masking is, and out of 44 responses, to leave it with the status quo, stay with masks for everyone. Some of the comments that they made, I would feel safer if we continue to wear masks. While I am too over dealing with masks until the youngest population in our building is able to be vaccinated, I feel very strongly that it is our district's responsibility to do everything we can to keep them safe. Next question. If given the option to go mask optional, would you still wear a mask while teaching? 77% of our faculty said yes, they would still wear masks. And some of the rationale was mask protects us from spreading germs. I think I will wear it the remainder of this year and hope to start maskless in the fall. My feelings on this might change depending on increased vaccination rate among our students, et cetera, et cetera. Last question, would you feel uncomfortable if there were unmasked children and adults in your classroom? 54% of the staff said yes, they would feel uncomfortable if there were unmasked children and adults in their classroom. And the comments continue to be very much the same. Many of the students still do not cover their mouths while sneezing, so the mask covers their germs, same as above. Need to protect the youngest population, including those of us with young children at home. And now we will have, did anyone have any questions about the questionnaire, the survey that went out to the families?
Do you have any comments from Mr. David at all? From the student's perspective, or any questions?
I was going to wait to the end of the presentation after we
Okay.
see all the
That's
data
fine.
from Nurse James as
Okay.
well.
Yes, and now the data from Nurse James. And who could not be here
Good
with us
evening,
tonight?
Lindop Board of Education, Lindop Administration, staff and community members. This is Ms. James. I'm sorry I'm unable to be in attendance tonight, but did want to share a little bit of data with you regarding our vaccination status as well as our new COVID cases. Next slide. This slide shows the vaccination status among our staff and students here at Lindop. As you can see, a majority of our staff here are vaccinated, and most of the ones who are vaccinated have also received their boosters, which is great. We do have some students, we have more getting vaccinated every day, just with the overwhelming amount of data that does support vaccines, COVID vaccines in children. As you can see, we do have some that are partially vaccinated. We do have several children of ours coming to our second dose vaccine clinic this upcoming Saturday. So 2 weeks after Saturday, they will be added to our fully vaccinated tab here. Next slide. My last slide here actually shows some pretty great news since we came back from winter break in January. We did see some cases for the first few weeks that we were back when COVID was still pretty rampant. But since then, since the week of January 31st up through this week, we have not had any new COVID cases, which is pretty wonderful. Thank you for your time tonight. Have a wonderful evening.
Any questions for Nurse James? Is she on?
No, she's
Okay,
not. That was
all right. I
recorded.
guess there's no questions. Okay.
Uh,
Do you have any other comments?
Yes, I do have a comment.
Go right ahead.
I have been speaking with not only students from Lindop, I have friends in different school districts that surround us in Kamarick and Forest Park, and even in the Proviso Township High Schools, who have all went masking optional, and they continue to wear their mask. And I asked students here, not only in my classes, but who are in 6th, 5th, and 4th, 3rd grade, everything. And they have all came to the same consensus of wearing masks. And I understand personally, because I am continuously reminded by my Spanish teacher, by my homeroom teacher, you know, to pull the mask up. It's very uncomfortable, but I do understand it's a safety level. And I think that that's what we got in most of the data here, that it's about the safety of the child and making sure not only for our children to be safe and our students, which include me and my sister, but to make sure that our educators are comfortable in teaching, Because if we don't have educators that will be comfortable in their classroom to teach the standards, to teach what our students need to learn, then our students won't be able in the future to have success. And that is our ultimate goal at Lindop. Excellence is our standard. So masking equals excellence from the data that was just presented. And if that's what we need to do, then I'm pretty sure the student body is on board from everything that we've talked about as well.
So you don't hear a lot of rumbling from students. They just support the masks.
We support it, at first it was very uncomfortable, but we support it because we know what it's like to have people that you can't see because they're in the hospital. We know what it's like to have that. I personally had it. I had someone who was very close to me get COVID and was in the hospital on oxygen. And it is something that I don't want any child or any other person to ever experience. And so I know that pain, and not being able to go visit the person, not being able to go see that person. I don't want a first grader to go through that. I don't want one of our parents to be crying because their child is now in the hospital. It's about looking at it at these different perspectives, and that's what I communicate to our student body, because I want them to know, just as I know, we have to look at it from everybody's view. I know it's uncomfortable. This is what I tell them. I know it's uncomfortable, but what's more uncomfortable, what's more unsettling is to be in a hospital bed by yourself with nobody to come and visit you. And that's the reality of it. And I know that we have had some good news with no COVID cases, but school is where you come, you have different households in different classrooms, you have different people, you have different immune systems. And it's just about keeping everyone safe. So there's no rumbling. It's just about supporting everyone and making sure that everybody is safe.
Any more comments? Thank you, Mr. David. Any other comments from anyone else?
I just have a really quick comment. Where are we at with outside activities, others coming in the building in regards to masks coming through the building?
Everyone is still required to wear masks, and also the mandate does allow that if within your school district, if it is a mask mandate, then everyone has to comply.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All right. Need a roll call, please?
Board Member Jonah Harret,
Yay.
Board Member Griffin,
Yay.
Board Member Hannah,
Yeah.
Board Member Dawson,
Yay.
Board Member Morris Jr.,
Yay.
Board Member Taylor,
Yay.
Board Member Williams Wolford,
Absent.
Student Board Member David.
Yeah.
Motion carries. Need a motion to the board to approve the district consolidation plan. Ms. Griffin?
I make a motion that the board approve to submit the district consolidated plan to the Illinois State Board of Education, ISBE, for the 2022 through 2023 school year.
And a second, please.
A second, Board Member Hannah.
Thank you.
Good evening again, Board of Education. Just wanted to let you know that this is something that we do annually. And there's a new term that the State Board of Education is using. It's called Braiding of Services, which means that all of the different programs that we have, they want them to come together and they want alignment and in order to use the funding to support all of our students. So this is something we do every year. This year that it came out, we're looking to do as early as possible. And we just need your approval to move ahead and do that. The areas that are going to be covered, as you can see, are Title I, Title IIA, Title III, IDEA Special Education, IDA preschool, and then also supporting college and career readiness, professional development for those areas, and foster care transportation. Any questions?
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Board Member Jonah Harret,
Yay.
Board Member Griffin,
Yay.
Board Member Hannah,
Yay.
Board Member Dawson,
Yay.
Board Member Morris,
Yay.
Board Member Taylor,
Yay.
Board Member Williams Wolford,
Absent.
Board Member Student Board Member David.
Yeah.
Motion carries. Thank you. Discussion on disposal of surplus technology. Mr. Alescu.
Good evening, Board of Education, community members, staff, administration. So the district has some iMacs from 2011 that were bought with PLT's system we used to have here. And we have some iMacs that were bought between 2013 and 2014. These devices are basically not worth very much money. So we want discussion on what we would want to sell these to the community or just dispose of these properly. Because the 2011 Macs work very limited. There's very limited that you can do with these devices. The iPads, you can basically use a camera and that's really almost about it. And the Macs there's no software to support these. They worked up to last year for testing purposes, but they no longer support testing this year.
Any suggestions, Dr. Jackson?
We had, Josh, can you talk about what we did before? I don't remember with the community, but everything was gone in like about 5 minutes or something. What was that? And it was
Correct.
disposable.
About, we sold MacBook laptops that were about 4 years old, maybe about a couple years ago, probably about 4 years ago. And those actually had a value then. These actually had no value, really. They're maybe worth $20 if that. And a lot of the iPads wouldn't even have cords. So we would need to probably buy cords and then we'd break even if that to sell for those devices for about $20. So these iMacs are selling on eBay for like $30, $40. They're not worth very much. And it's very limited what you can do on these. Maybe word processing and the internet, a lot of websites aren't going to work. It's going to be limited.
How many devices are we speaking of?
In the 20s per each one, about 20, in the 20s for the iPads. I'd have to count those few, but they're about maybe 40. And the iPads, it might be between 40, 50. They worked last year for Zoom and that was really about it that they needed. But since we've got that money coming in, I can replace that with the iPads that you approved last time. I could replace those with these.
Do you think because, the technology needs are so high within a district, but the simple needs they may have at their home, would it be valuable to families to have like an iPad that's basic?
It's limited. I mean, it's a low quality camera on there. It's limited what you can do. I just don't want people be frustrated. So you sold me isolate to Eskimo, something like that. It's just not, it's not up to date. That's my only concern.
So I have a question.
So what's your suggestion?
I'm sorry. It's to you.
I was just gonna ask what your suggestion is.
My suggestion would be dispose of them. I know that just the Macs or the iPads have more value than the Macs. The Macs would just
And that's
be,
what I mean.
the Macs would be 11 years old. They'd just be really struggling with people who struggle with if things not working right and you just can't update them. I mean, it's obsolete.
Just my thoughts were, if
And
there's something that someone else can use, then we make it hopefully really inexpensive for them, because this is their tax dollars as well. But if something is junk, that's another story.
It's obsolete.
So
Some
the
people,
iPads are probably something that could be a valuable. We can
Correct.
just kind of make it real. Any board members, any comments, any thoughts?
I wanted to make sure I understood. Can you access the internet on them or were you saying that?
you
cannot?
can, but I don't know what websites will be able to support it.
Okay. All right. I mean, I know.
What would work is websites might not load properly or they can't, you'd have to use Safari. I don't think Chrome is going to be able to support those or Firefox and
Got it. Okay. Me
Can you get
personally-
email on there?
maybe.
Email and-
me personally,
Depends what email
I
you're
would
using.
rather, instead of junking it, donate it, see if there's
Are we able to donate?
if they're local. I mean, if through grants, I don't think we can.
I don't know who would want them. I mean, do you give them free to the community? It'd be better.
I think the iPads are Title I, aren't they?
Those I believe are not.
Okay,
Okay, so.
There was some were bought with EL dollars, but we're talking about a small amount.
okay, all right. I think
But for Title I.
They were not bought with Title I.
Okay. go
My
ahead.
only concern would be is that if we were to donate those to someone, and because you said the limited software and so forth on it, and it's not being supported, are we gonna be bombarded with, say, calls talking about, okay, I got this and this doesn't work? It's like, is it gonna be worth the headache?
It was
If
as
it's free.
is, like the last time.
It's sold, it'd be given to you as is. And if we sell the iPads, we would just break even, buy them a cord. So they can charge it and then and whatever, and that would be or we'd break even basically, because I can't sell them to somebody without a cord.
Right.
So the cord's $15, we sell for $15. And that's the value of the iPad if you buy it on eBay. but that's without a cord.
You said 15?
15.15. We're talking cheap.
Oh, okay.
But I do understand what Josh's saying. In other words, they are junk.
Exactly.
They are, because these iPads, you cannot download apps on them or do none of that. You can't do nothing with them. There's nothing that's up to date, especially with kids in school. You can't do nothing with it.
Yes, my thoughts are, whatever, even if we offer to them, they can, for 15 bucks, man, I probably would, those that don't have anything, if you feel the iPads are good and the other stuff is good, is that what you're saying? Or you're saying that iPads aren't good too?
The iPads are better than the Macs. The Macs are really, I mean, you're gonna struggle with those because those are really
So
obsolete.
maybe destroy those. Maybe destroy those and minimally sell the iPads for next to nothing. $5, $10, just to be able to say
Well, I would at least try to get them a cord or something. So whatever the cost of the cord to charge it up, so they then break even that way.
we'll have something that works. If they choose to, somebody may not want to buy it.
Well, I would buy the cords after they're
And
sold.
Is it
So
possible to let them test it? By,
they would charge. Yeah, we, of course, we can charge them up. We can do that too. That's one option. Then you have to go buy their own cords. It's another option too.
But,
My,
oh, no, wait.
Mr. David?
my only question is, Ms. Ellisfield, you're saying that the software is obsolete, like you
Right.
can't. So are we gonna give them?
But he's saying the iPad is something that he's not sure about the iPads. He's saying the other ones. That's why I've been at the Macs are like obsolete.
So we're discussing about the iPad?
We just really, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, pretty
so
much so.
with the iPads, can a child take that home and go to iExcel and load that up? Is that? gonna-
Each app is unique in a way, whether it's going to support the version or not. So it's going to be app dependable. We're talking about, these iPads were manufactured when the students are currently in 7th grade would be
Is it
with
iPad 1s or 2s?
two iPad 2s. The second model is one of them. So it's
Still use my iPad 1. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm just telling you, I use my iPad 1s.
That's
I got
without the
an
camera?
iPad 1 mini too, and it's still working. But that's just me.
I think that in good
For $10
conscience,
or $15,
if you're
who
gonna,
cares?
if you give it to them, because the average person gets an iPad and first thing they're gonna think they can download different apps to it. I think they've got to be made aware that, hey, this is, you're not gonna probably not be able to load those apps. And that's what a lot of people are getting them for.
Can we do
Yeah.
that and make them aware that
Absolutely.
the iPads
Well,
aren't
yeah.
the best?
That's what we did the last time we had the
Absolutely.
sale, to say exactly what was working, what was not working.
Yeah.
And a lot of people use them for spare parts. as
And they
can.
left in 2 minutes.
They did, they did, they did.
Give them the option, let them look at it. If not, it's no, we just,
so
we don't have a motion yet, so we'll need a motion maybe next board meeting. Okay,
Yes. we'll have
Thank
all of the
you.
numbers.
Yep. And we'll give you a list of everything as serial numbers the next meeting.
sounds good. So we're talking about destroying the iMac, iMacs.
MacBooks.
Not
I don't know why he has
laptops.
iMacs up there, but I'm just reading.
Oh.
And then iPads, we're gonna 10, 15, if maybe 5, whatever you propose. But we'll turn it on and see if people could use it. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Board President's report. I'll tell you this, I hate to, I know you're gonna talk about the spelling bee, but I'll tell you this, I actually participated in my first spelling bee for all these years I've been at Lindop. I've heard a lot about the spelling bees, didn't know what they were about, but I'm telling you this, Lindop really showed up and showed out. It was so animated here. We had the ambassadors everywhere. We had, Karen Yarborough, our mayor was here leading the festivities. You also had Chris Welch and Danny Davis, and I'm telling you this, gifts for every child that participated. Even the kids were on the
stairwells with the balloons with their names on them.
yeah. And then outside they had their names on our sign. And I'm gonna tell you, this, I just want to tell you all, I mean, it was like a TV show. The whole thing, I was complaining, oh God, we're gonna be here all day. But once it started going, it was like a movie. But I do want to communicate something that Diane Williams, she's the board president of 89. I would just want to read what she said to Dr. Jackson as well as the board. She said, Carla, I was so excited last night. I didn't get a chance to tell Dr. Jackson and your board what an amazing job they did hosting the spelling bee. They rolled out the red carpet, made the students feel so special, and they are. The student gifts were amazing too. We are so blessed. And then she sends me a picture of her, happened to be the winner was her grandson, by the way. And his name was, so she made sure she had that for him to see. It was something else. You really did well. Thank you for that. Made us look real good. And I'm sure we'll get a lot more people participating in the next time if we're able to. The next thing I want to mention is that dinner meeting for those of you all board members who can go to the West Cook Division meeting on Tuesday, the 22nd. If you haven't registered, our Mr. Richardson will register you if you haven't already. It's at East Lighton High School. We had made the decision it was going to be at a school and then at the dinner place. So the topic is going to be responding to budgetary and funding impacts of Illinois. So those that can go, it begins at 6 o'clock. And the goal is to have it in at 8 o'clock in a timely manner. Last but not least, the referendum is here. You know, this is March, April, May, June. So it's really time to activate our committee I actually talked to Katrina about it a while ago because I know that she also, or Mayor Thompson, I apologize about it a while ago because I know that she had, we also have mutual things that we want to support. But initially, we're just meeting with her would be a good start. You know, our board meeting with her or, and just having presentations at the city hall every month until the time that we have this referendum. Town hall meeting, we talked about that. We need to think about a good time to have a town hall meeting. We might want to piggyback on maybe a parent meeting when they're already in here. Sometimes, you know, the parents are already here. There's a way to get information out. We want to make sure the parents know we get a lot of them in here. We can take advantage of that. We need to also work on mailers, you know, as well as, you know, being able to have materials for people to have, stuff that we can hand out, stuff that we can mail, but there's got to be a committee to, you know, I'm sure that our administrative team members can lead that. And then reaching out to other districts who've been successful. I'm not sure if you've done that yet, Dr. Jackson, as well as Mr. Baranek, but I know they were successful last time, you know, and they went door to door to talk to people. So it's going to take a board team to do this. I know we got our 2 leaders, you know, committee leaders, but it's going to take a board team. And my thought, we might want to have special board meetings to all support, you know, when we can, because it's going to take all of us to pull this off. And we're going to activate that committee and try to get it going. And I was thinking about that abatement, the 390, we'll make sure we add that in those notes. But that's really all I want to say, that it's time to start thinking about the referendum. June will be here before we know it. It's almost March already. And that concludes my board president report. Right ahead, Dr. Jackson.
Thank you. And so a few things have been happening with us, and I'm just so thankful with the team's report today. It was just crisp and it was concise and to the point, and made us have some hope. And so, yes, Mrs. Harriet, you talked about the West Cook Spelling Bee at Lindop, just a few photos of that. And we did get some really good feedback, great feedback from parents who were coming. This spelling bee was historic for in a lot of different ways, especially for Lindop. First time that we have hosted the local spelling bee, but we've been asking for it probably for the last 10 years, so it was before I got here that they had begun asking to be able to host the spelling bee. And so this year we were able to do that. And I'm hopeful that we will still be able to continue in that and with all of the support. So thank you all. And for those of you all that who could not see it, Mr. LSQ.
I do want to mention something about the spelling bee. The winner was Diane Williams's grandson. I don't know if you all know that. I called her Saturday, asked me to help her out with something. She said, "Oh, I'm working on something." And she was literally helping him study for this spelling bee. So I just wanted to mention that.
Right. Okay, our next is our title incorrect, but this is for the Autism Walkathon. And so we're going to have a walkathon. As always, the Answer Inc. does have that every year. This year, we're starting earlier, making sure that we get everyone excited about it. The goal as a team, they have discussed already is to raise $1,000. And we're looking for a team of 20. It has been probably about 4 or 5 people as they could make it, but now we're saying that we get this out early and really make sure that people are educated about it and know exactly what this is for. So please mark your calendars for Saturday, May 7th, 2022, 12 to 3 p.m. at Proviso West High School.
Okay, so the donation page, we donate to that donation page and the whole is from
Under
Lindop
Lindop,
itself.
yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes. All right, next one, programs and services. So there was a policy that we talked about where during when parents are coming in to register their children, they have to answer about what sex the child is. That came out in March, but they also said that the implementation is going to be held back until 23-24. And so some questions are asking, and these are just asking the children. Okay, and so if they do not mark anything, they can go and ask the child. If the child was born a female but identifies with male, he or she can add that on their registration form, and the parent cannot change it or anything. And so they're doing some more thinking about this particular policy and really with the implementation portion of this. Next thing, we're at wonderful news. We got $250,000 from a community partnership grant that was written back in September and joined along with Patrick Rice for that one. And Lindop was selected for $250,000. And this is to support social emotional learning as well as mental health. Yep. Okay. All right. All right. Board member report.
So I have some amazing news. During the time of remote learning, Lindop came together with our amazing admin team, which consists of our former principal, Dr. Spalding, and Mr. Canoli, and we created the Lindop Student Outreach Committee that will go to knock on doors and award students who have been rocking remote learning. So we've came to the table and done a little rebranding, and our new goal is still to motivate students to continue to learn and to continue to meet the standards of in-person safety protocols and helping them in their educational field along with grades and everything and motivating them in that. So we've been sitting down at tables. I've gotten a plan together with 2 of the faculty advisors. This will be called the Lindop Student Outreach, and it will come through the National Junior Honor Society with our amazing faculty advisor, Ms. Davies, helping oversee that. It's just so much that I want to get done before I leave the board. I have also started doing some communications and trying to sit down with some other student leaders and create a roundtable, which will be known as the Lindop Student Excellence Committee. And it will consist of the student board member and JHS members and other student advocates, as you may say. And so I can't wait. Board, we have a lot of good things coming towards us in the coming months before I leave. And that concludes my student board member report.
I guess we have to let you graduate, don't we? Thank you so much. He's always, his reports are so exciting. Thank you so much. So passionate. All right. Moving right along to committee reports. Okay. Now I know why you put this in here. I was like, I get it. I'm a little slow, but thank you, Ms. Richardson. I'm a slow. Okay, finance meeting. Ms. Griffin. We did not have a meeting.
Nope, we did not.
Yep, everything was all handled by Mr. Baranik. Personnel meeting. There was no meeting this month for that as well. PACE Governing Board meeting, Mr. Dawson and Mr. Morris.
Yes, things are a bit eventful at PACE right now. We're having a bit of difficulty. District 209 is not really sending students over the way they ordinarily would. And it's beginning to seem as though they're not as interested in having their students come to PACE as much. And as you all may know, they have the lion's share of students there because they have the high school. And so that's a bit of a troubling trend. At this time, right now, PACE is considering exactly, which direction things are going, because when you have a member of the group who doesn't seem to be as active or invested, we're not exactly sure what their intentions are. So that's as much as I can really say about it right now.
I probably have more questions, maybe in closed session. Yeah. Sounds pretty deep to me. Getting deep. This is gonna impact everybody in it.
Correct.
Yeah. Financially, especially, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Your next meeting is April 6th.
Well, tomorrow night.
Oh, I'm sorry, February 16th.
So it'll be March 16th. March 16th.
Well, I'm sorry,
The
I'm
next one
reading what
is
it says, but it is March. Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
I'm like, I know I'm not saying. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, let me just pencil it in, March 16th. Okay, safety SEL. Mr. Morris and Mr. Hannah to be announced, to be determined. Policy meeting, Mr. Dawson, Ms. Williams-Wolford. It was already March 2nd. So tell me how to
Yes,
get,
yeah,
tell me I
that's
got it
correct.
right
No,
this
that's
time.
correct. I'm the only one having meetings up here again.
Oh, yeah, you're the only one that's working, go right ahead.
Everybody else is TBD. No, you know what? I'll let Dr. Jackson actually speak on it. We did, have a vote recently, but it was typically standard fare, but.
It was just a review section, and then we looked at the policies that have been updated online. And so we'll bring those back in next board meeting.
Thank you. Para CIA committee meeting, to be determined, technology meeting. Ms. Hannah, Mr. Hannah and Ms. Taylor to be determined as well, correct? Strategic planning meeting, that is an ad hoc. And board referendum committee meeting. There will be a meeting scheduled and that's still to be determined, but we'll get that going. Should be probably before the end of the month to just get something going. Yeah, so more to come with that. Okay. All right. My goodness. It's 6:43. Without further to do. I need any public comments at all? There are none. Okay, I need a motion to go into executive session at 6:43 PM, please. Any takers?
All right. I move that the board go into closed session under 5 Illinois School Code 122, C1, 4, and 10 to discuss the appointment, employment compensation, discipline, or performances of a specific employee of the public body. Evidence of testimony presented in the open hearing or in closed hearing where specifically authorized by law, security procedures, school building safety and security, student disciplinary cases, and the placement of individual students in special education programs and other matters relating to individual students at
6:44.
6:44 PM.
And a second, please.
Brian Dawson, I second.
And I want to say before I ask for this roll call, we are about a half an hour prior to schedule, so let's go, Mr. Richardson. Don't slow us down. Talk fast.
Board Member Jonah Harret,
Yay.
Board Member Griffin,
Yay.
Board Member Hannah.
Yay.
Board Member Dawson,
Yay.
Board Member Morris Jr., Board Member Taylor,
Yay.
Board Member Williams Wolford,
Absent.
Student Board Member David.
Yay.
Thank you very much, everybody. We're gonna try to resume, Mr. Riley is gonna be on, so we're gonna try to resume. What?